to address us on the topic Enhancing Higher Education, a refined curriculum framework under NEP with a focus on English language and literature. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the speaker of this plenary session, Dr. Preeti Oza. She is Associate Professor at St. Andrews College, University of Mumbai. She is a double PhD holder. We all know getting one PhD is a difficult task. She holds 2 PhDs. And she has done PG Diploma in Mass Communication and Journalism, PG Diploma in Film Studies, certificate course in script writing. She's also a certified happiness coach accredited by the Transformation Academy, USA. Having teaching experience of more than 18 years, she has been teaching communication, language skills, English literature, advertising, cultural studies, and media studies in various UG and PG programs in Mumbai colleges. She has been working in the area of skill development, especially soft skills. Her research areas are Dalit and Buddhist studies, media studies, language acquisition, and communication skills, including soft skills. Dr. Preeti is a recognized PhD guide also, and 2 candidates have completed their PhD successfully and 5 are registered. She has published 24 books, more than 100 research papers, and 30 book chapters in international and national peer-reviewed books and journals. She is the chief editor of 5 international journals, founder and honorary trustee of GAP, that is Grand Academic Portal, an NGO working in the higher education in India, which is registered with Niti Aayog of the Government of India. I request Dr. Preeti Oza to come here and deliver her address.
Namaste, Ahmedabad. Good afternoon. First of all, a big thank you to the organizers, a very, very philanthropic trustees of this institution, great institution, all the organizers, officials, honorary officials of GUETA, and all the very, very experienced fellow colleagues. It's an honor and privilege to be in front of such a esteemed audience here today, especially when we are at the juncture of old going towards the new, already getting the old back to a new way. So we don't know what we are going to do. But this is something which is very important for all of us, and we cannot be untouched. I know this is a little difficult time for all of us because we have been going through a lot of very, very stimulating talks since morning, and very high profile, very, very esteemed speakers have actually addressed all of us. So maybe this is a time to little bit narrow down and come back to English. And this is what I'm going to do in my today's talk. I'll use some of the mics, some of the parts, but then I don't think I'll be just sticking to the class. Because as Dr. Jappi has rightly said that we are a little bit of elite people having the bad game of holding a mug of coffee and talking to the class. Maybe I would like to retain that image because this has given us a little bit of elite, position, but that comes with a lot of responsibilities also. As we have been getting since the morning that we are everywhere, right from IQSC to all these associations. Anyways, we would love to be there, but now time for a little bit of change. So maybe I would like to continue with whatever the Honorary Vice Chancellor ma'am has started with. I mean, a very, very going through this NEP. Then we have had a wonderful session by Dr. Jappi where he has put the onus on the institution. So where the institution requires to do a lot of things when we are going from the old to the new national education policy. And my point will be further narrowing it down to the departments of English across the colleges and universities in India. So maybe we are like GUETA has actually framed the entire thing very, it's a very streamlined thing where we started with a very panoramic view of the national viewpoint. Dr. Jappi has given us the institutional viewpoint, and in my today's talk, I'll be trying to talk about the departmental viewpoint. So this is how I position myself here today. So when we are talking about this MEP, basically the significant milestone where I would not say it's a new thing. We are getting a lot of our old treasured things back to our system which we have forgotten, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes deliberately, but yes, we are getting certain things back from our glorious past. But before going ahead with that, I would like to just talk about our position today, as on today, maybe when we say till 2020. So English is given to us. English is a byproduct of our very sad, past. English is a byproduct. It's like maybe forced upon us as a part of the 150 plus years of British colonization. So when we talk about English, why we are doing what we are doing today under the departments of English or as an English subject teacher or a communication subject teacher, maybe we have a legacy here which has started pre-independence. Even the independence has also continued, as Honorable Vice Chancellor has rightly said, that we have continued certain things. So let me just put it in a nutshell that where are we today, and from here where are we going to do, where are we going to go. Important milestones with reference to English teachers, English as a subject, English as a language. We have 4 different areas. Before independence, we used to have the Charter Act. Charter Act, I think Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am also has told that 1,000, it was a big money before that, and it was just given to the institutions to spread English education to the selected few. We all know the history of English language in India, but this is something I'm just putting just to put our entire today's talk into a context. After Charter Act, we had the East-West controversy. Under that East-West controversy, now the Charter Act was again discussed that those who are going to get English as English medium education, what should we teach them? Should we teach them the global concepts, subjects, or should we come back to the contemporary, that time existing Urdu and Persian and Hindi? So that was the East-West controversy. Then very infamous Macaulay's Minutes, again streamlining of English language education to, and I quote unquote, create good servants, learned servants. So those who can understand them, those who can serve them better. And maybe we are continuing with that because I think my Vice Chancellor has already told that we still take that pride in being called a government servant today. Again, after Macaulay's Minutes, the minute has established the stand of giving English to anybody and everybody. Then we had that downward filtration theory, another controversial area before independence, and under which what we have decided that it will be percolated from top to bottom. And again, that has not worked very well with the rich cultural plurality of India. That means, to sum it up, maybe pre-independence, Britishers were totally working on trial and error on us. But then Indians, being Indians, we have also got something strong from that, and we have got our English. And those who were educated in English medium schools, they continued spreading English in in whatever manner we call it today. I mean, for so many years, we know that Indian English was not considered as English. And we have never taught any Indian writer across the departments of English, maybe 60s and 70s and 80s. It was full of British English, that also Britishers. Even after that, I mean, we were not even considering other Englishes, grammatically wrong word, but very, very accepted word today. What happened after post-independence? Today, as of now, we have English as a status of associate official language, and we have the three-language formula. Both of the ideas, both of the milestones that put us into a little bit of controversial, little bit of conflicting kind of a zone. I'm not going to talk about that, but this is how I'm putting today's talk into a bit of context. This is something which is there for all of us when we look at the entire NEP. These are the areas we are going to work on, being the English department teacher, be it a school, be it a college or university department. I don't think my slide is much visible, but I am going to discuss all these pointers in my first slide. So shift towards multilingualism, very, very big talk. And then it's not only the English department, across the languages we are going to talk about. So the shift towards multilingualism. We remember English department na teachers जब गुजराती में बात करता था तो students ने जरा problem था तो that teacher ने English नहीं आवड़ता तो हमारे साथ क्या गुजराती में बात करें. Now today we take pride that okay boy come here I talk to you in your language. And this is something which is a strength given to us by multilingual. Of course, it has also diluted certain, eliteness of the upper tight-lid British writers, or maybe those who are. I don't know how many of you are still, teaching that totally British English literature or having that in that syllabus. But we do have amongst us very senior professors. Those who are still not ready to believe that Indian English writing could be taught as a part of the structured canonical literature. And we face that situation. When the professors and the senior most academicians are not ready to believe that yes, this is also English. Anyways, we have to now shift towards multilingualism, focus on critical thinking and creativity. Now this is something which is given to us in English departments also. Earlier, creativity and critical thinking were considered as two different dichotomies. Those who are critical cannot be creative. Those who are creative cannot be critical. Unknowingly, we have compartmentalized ourselves. See now how beautifully this NEP putting it under in one connected word, critical and creative. See, now we have a way out. No, we don't have a way out. Very beautiful way of putting these two things together. Flexibility in language choice. I have all the right to teach my child in my classroom, to teach him first in Gujarati, maybe translation, then to give him a text to read in English. Now this is a power. Why I tell this power? Because this was a bicharapan few years back. Vernacular, medium, teachers, those who have wonderful scores in English literature, language, masters, PG, PhD. But if they are not able to speak the way, the international accepted way, they were feeling inferior. See how nicely this part is also taken care. You have to talk to your child in your own language, then you give them the text. Wonderful. Integration of technology. I think Dr. Chappi's talk has a very beautifully incorporated that. Not talking much about it. Promotion of Indian languages. Now this is a time when we have heard the word of Bharatanatyam Shastra, and Bharatanatyam Shastra, Rasa theory, is very proudly positioned in syllabuses across UG and PG program in English literature department. We couldn't think of a much better position of English in India today. Role of literature in shaping values and perspectives. From that, nurturing language proficiency. Unfortunately, if coming from the department we also have had that experience of looking down on someone who's not able to speak the way we want them to speak, or maybe using some certain words in translation. Now, see the change here. Nurturing language proficiency. If you are good in Gujarati, be good in Gujarati. No point mixing two languages together. If you are good in Hindi, be good in that language. No need to just compromise between this and that. Now the change is also visible in culture. I'm going to talk about it in my further slides. How this has actually shaped our Gen Z students or millennials for that matter. Inclusivity and equity, internationalization of education. I'm skipping some of the pointers because I'm going to anyways talk about it. Encouraging love for literature. Coming back to us. I'll tell you how it is. Addressing socio-economic disparities. Promoting interdisciplinary learning. Now we better take citation and reference from Dr. Chappie's talk that we won't call transdisciplinary or multidisciplinary as interdisciplinary. We understand the word, we understand the meaning, and we work on that. Supportive teacher autonomy. Now this is a new concept for us. Because सबसे पहले जब NEP की बात आती है, we all say that अरे हमें तो affiliated college. We are waiting for the syllabus to come from the university and बच्चे करशु. जिम्मेदार रहते करशु. No, this is not the way. Teacher is given a lot of autonomy. In fact, the blended learning is just one component. Dr. Jackie has already talked about it. But how we do that in our departments, this is the interesting take on that. I'm going to talk about it. Supporting teacher autonomy, role of literature in building empathy and social awareness. And final, I'm going to give you here. I have prepared around 7 to 8 different curriculums fitting into each component of it. So this is something which is the blueprint of my today's talk. Now, NEP was a guideline, but after that in 2022, whatever we got is something like this. Curriculum and Credit Framework by UGC, and that is for the UG programs. I'm sure you almost all of you know about it. Anyone who doesn't have any idea, please download this from the UGC website today and study it further, because this is what we are actually getting in black and white. And do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. See, please remember, NEP still has certain flexibility when it comes to implementation, because it is quite open document in nature. But with this kind of a curriculum framework guidelines, we are now getting everything in black and white. But again, as English teachers are the backbone of the institution, here also look at this. This is a paragraph I've taken from 5.1.4 of the official document of the Curriculum and Credit Framework by the UGC. But the red marked words are only meant for all of us, that is English department. That means English department is now overworked, because be ready to get everything on you in next maybe 2 to 3 years. So what are these things? First one, modern Indian language and English language focused on language and communication skills. One element very important which will be invariably handled by all of us, that how you are going to use any one word in Indian language with that of the English language. Language and communication skill. I'm just reading out only the red highlighted parts because this is where it's meant for us, Department of English. Core linguistic skills including critical reading and expository and academic writing skills. एक ही सेंटेंस में 5 पेपर्स बनते हैं. Look at this. Linguistic, academic writing, critical reading, expository, and all are different elements of our communication skills. Paper, syllabus, what do we call it now? That means just imagine this is so loaded. And once we accept it, we have a lot of work to do together. Importance of language as a mediator of knowledge and identity. So here we are just going to work on English as a a knowledge for mediator in technological subjects. English as a knowledge, English as a language for mediator in media. So these are the way we are opening up this particular document. So those colleges, those who are going for the autonomous status, those universities, those who are already implementing NEP, this is our Bible to make the next 5 years what we call institutional development plan, or what we call the department perspective plan. This is where we are taking the key words and we are preparing the further direction for the English departments. Cultural and intellectual heritage of chosen modern Indian language and English language. Now this is a very interactive, interdisciplinary kind of a course where you are putting two things together, as I have told you right now. One example, Bharatanatyam Shastra, Rasa theory versus European aesthetics versus any other kind of, or maybe theory of criticism, maybe Vaprokti. So we are just combining two modern Indian languages and putting things in perspective together. So my today's talk is just giving you the idea about how NEP has changed all of us. We cannot be only English in nature. Now let me tell you one very clear point here that our generation people, I'm from the MS University of Baroda, and all stalwart professors, Dr. Ganesh Devi, Dr. P. Sika, Dr. Rani Thakur, they were all the professors those days. And I remember that the kind of resistance towards anything Indian in nature. And the entire syllabus used to be totally British English, not even Scottish or not even Irish. And it was actually a special, kind of a effort to put James Joyce in the syllabus those days, because he was not into that canonical British English. That means we have actually worked like a very, we were blinded by the legacy, whatever we have carried. This is the time to open it up. English, let's talk about Englishes, and we have 28 Indian languages. Work on anything. So this is where the local going global also comes into picture. Things will be much more clearer when I will be talking about the examples for each modules. And the last part, communication, the ability to participate or conduct discussion and debate. Now this is also the job of the teacher working in the English department. I'm sure we all are doing this. Communication skills, presentation skills, talking skills, reading skills, basically 4 language skills, what we talk about. When we say 4 language skills, it is the duty of the English department teacher only to implement all these 4. Otherwise, sorry to tell this to all the principals or maybe the HOD sitting here, that any other department has never shared that kind of a thing, because when we say communication skills, knowingly, unknowingly, we are talking about English communication skills. Comprehension, English में सिखाओ, debate, English में कराओ, your quizzes, English में कराओ, public speaking, English department करेगा, leadership skills, English department करेगा, personality development, English department करेगा, prepare interviews, English department करेगा. We are happy to do it, but now at least we are getting the acknowledgement here in the last line that what we are doing under the NEP curriculum framework 2022, what we are doing is enhancing ability to participate or conduct discussion in English. This is the first document. 5.1.5, immediately after this, is talking about skill enhancement courses, and as I have told you that when it comes to skill enhancement, no one goes to any other language but English. That means this is also coming to us. This is going to come to us, so better be ready and prepare something well in advance. These courses are aimed at imparting practical skills, hands-on training, soft skills to enhance the employability of students. Now when it comes to employability skills, we have all realized that English puts you into a premium league. India, why it is happening, we are going to talk about it. We cannot say no. We better be prepared about it. So when we are talking about employability skills, one of the very important skills which comes to all of us is how to improve spoken ability of our students. And when we are talking about speaking, unknowingly, unfortunately, still English. Next. So one after the other elements, these are the elements we are seeing in our first slide. Very first point, shift towards multilingualism. While this approach promotes linguistic diversity and inclusivity, it is also a very big challenge to English language instruction. See, we all know that when we are getting our students in our UG and PG classes, they have their own certain bases. So those who are coming from vernacular languages and those who are coming from English medium schools, I am talking about a school education. When they are given to us in my very first year, maybe UG program, they have their own basis. And how this to distinguish, we can identify our students, not even by the talk, by even the way they acquire language. I am telling you very honestly, vernacular medium students have a very strong base in grammar. How many of you agree with this? Yes, because they have studied properly with the theory, with the rules, with the regulations, grammatical. I mean, they know their grammar. They know the language. When it comes to English medium students coming to us, English medium as a schooling done in English, when they come to us, somehow वो थोड़े से upper league में होते हैं, because they think that they can speak so that they know language, which is absolutely wrong. Ask them to write one paragraph in the class and see how vernacular child is writing and how this English medium studied school children writing. From where this discrepancy comes, I tell you from where it comes. And this is basically what we have been working here. Vernacular child is automatically going in the mental translation. Do you agree? That is also one of the reasons they speak little slowly. That is also one of the reasons they have very heavy accent on their mother tongue. That is also one of the reasons they choose proper, better words than the English medium studied students. Because English medium studied students, when they speak fast, more or less they are conversational language. In our conversation, we don't pay attention to our vocabularies. But when we study properly as a topic, as a chapter, we pay attention to our vocabularies. Now, this is a point very well understood by the NEP here. So, what is the way out? Multilingualism, that means I am teaching Shakespeare to my child in my class in UG. I can ask him to explain in his own language. Now, this is something which has already been implemented in many of the autonomous colleges across India, especially colleges in Hyderabad and Chennai. Because they anyways had a little issues with Hindi or any other, so they are very happy to go back to their own mother tongue. So, what is the idea of putting Shakespeare in syllabus? Tell me. What is the idea of putting Shakespeare in the first year English department, literature paper 1? Tell me, anyone. To give them the story of the Shakespeare or to give them the language of the Shakespeare? Story, correct? Story? Do you agree? Because anyways, most of us, we don't use the actual text. We use the abridged version. That means our final aim is to give what? Stories, literary elements, literary appreciation, context, culture, correct? Why can't we do that in our own language? You think the child will be benefited more? Yes. I'll be happy to read my Othello in my own language if I'm not forced to read that Latinized English language in which Othello was originally written. How many of you have not read the actual Shakespearean text in your UG? I have never read. I accept it here because I was so afraid of opening the text. This is something which we have now ruled out in the multilingual, shift towards multilingual. But Now this is something which we need to take care. If the child is learning English literature in his own language first and trying to answer in English language, maybe that transition as a teacher is our duty to support. Next. Critical thinking and creativity. Now here comes the rich heritage of English literature. Rich literary heritage, diverse literary forms provide an ideal platform for nurturing these skills. So how do we do both the things together? Now let me tell you one thing. Where do we put our English or maybe communication skills? Students. They are critical or they are creative? A UG or PG student in a department of English, where do we put them? Critical or creative?
Both.
They are neither.
They cannot be. We are not giving them both. No. Where are we putting them? Nitish sir? We ask the question, give critical analysis of Shakespeare. We never accept creative analysis of Shakespeare. Do we agree? How do we answer this? Because we are all like blindly following canonical lot of things. So we ask the student, write a critical essay on John Donne's poem. Do we accept if he's putting John Donne's poem here in a very creative, nice, imaginary way? Do we accept? Do we give them marks? No. We want all verbatim things. Accept our mistakes. First thing is, that is what we have been doing. Now, this is something which is putting us in a different place altogether. How to manage critical and creative both things together? Critical analysis should be only with reference to your literary appreciation, otherwise let them go fly. This is what is the new idea of new syllabus and the NEP. So, teach them this one module, literary forms, novel, maybe types of novels, poetry, maybe types of poetry. That is it. Do not ask them to implement all these in that whatever is there in the syllabus. Because otherwise we will not be able to open up our own students. Maybe most of us, unless we have tried on our own, we are still working in that closed, blinded version. गोल घूम रहे हैं. शेक्सपियर का मेरे पास है, जॉन डन का मेरे पास है, रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट का भी है, अमेरिकन का भी है, कैनेडियन का भी है. हो गया, मेरे नोट्स रेडी है. अगर बच्चे ने उसमें से नहीं लिखा, what happens? I'll not ask you, but you know. Especially those who have prepared guidebooks and all the more reason for them to find these keywords. यही लिखना है, ऐसा नहीं लिखना है. Otherwise, how do we expect our child to be creative अगर इसी चक्कर में बेचारा MA गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट भी हो गया तो करेगा क्या? क्या करेगा? Tell me. Which job will accept him? Our own problem, right? We have been facing it. Okay. So this is another way to look at it. Next point. Reimagining assessment. Dr. Japti's talk also has put a lot of stress on formative and not the summative. We have all studied it under education, basic education, right? Summative versus formative, and we all are still doing summative. How many of us know actually that what do we ask our child to do? हर एक साल के, I'm sorry to put it this way, I'm not offering any respected English professor sitting here, but we have a tendency of repeating our questions. और मैंने तो ऐसे भी टीचर सुने हैं that आप लोग तो बिल्कुल ओपन बुक टेस्ट लिख रहे हो. अगर आपके सिलेबस में एक नॉवेल है, वो नॉवेल में से कौन सा क्वेश्चन आना है आपको पता है. हम लोग खाली वर्ड्स डिफरेंट करेंगे, बाकी आंसर एक ही रहेगा. Unfortunate but true. एक नॉवेल है सिलेबस में, एक पोएम है सिलेबस में. स्टूडेंट इज गेटिंग दैट आइडिया दैट आंसर तो वही रहेगा चाहे क्वेश्चन कुछ भी आ जाए. Do you agree? Unfortunately, मैं हाँ तो बोल दीजिए प्लीज. This is the case. So when we ask them, critically analyze, evaluate, discuss, describe, give a character sketch, to teach them that what is the difference in critically evaluate or describe or discuss or no. So बच्चा invariably what he does, plot लिखता है, थोड़ा बहुत analysis लिखता है, एक दो critical answers हो गया. So this is something which we have to work towards. So this is another area of English is also managed in it. Next. Integration of technology, digital resources, online platforms. It can provide students access to a wide range of literary text and resources. We have to be open with lot of non-published works also here. Here comes our own system fault or maybe system limitation. How many of you work in any which capacity in BOS, border studies or syllabus designing committee or something? I think you will understand what I am going to tell now. Chetan Bhagat, popular writer. Amish Tripathi, popular writer. सब बच्चे पढ़ते थे उसको. When we propose to put any text of either Amish Tripathi or Chetan Bhagat, the so-called British upper league premium bosses say no, that is not literature. चुप. ये literature क्या होता है? Classic. What is classic? Which has a system. We have one student, right? Class was in maths, classic literature, and then opened up in the romanticism. We know all about it, right? So the classic, that is creating something in a differently identified form and format and content. अगर उसने बनाया है तभी वो classic है, नहीं तो वो literature नहीं है. Those who are teaching romantic literature, Victorian literature, we know that. We tried little bit of imagination and nature and all during that period. But आज की date में whichever is not published is not considered to be a serious content to put in literature department. Game of Thrones is a wonderful text. Harry Potter is a beautiful writing. How many of us do dare to even suggest it to put it in the literature? No. हमारी seriousness कम हो जाएगी. Because being a literature student, हमें पहले उसी की बात करनी है जो either classic है और Indian writer जिसको बाहर ने promote किया है. Midnight Children, Matt has mentioned it, and I was just thinking that क्या होता है अगर वही लैंग्वेज, वही नॉवेल हमारे सिलेबस में हम लगाने को बोलते हैं आज से मे भी 5 साल पहले. I know, I'm sure you know the controversies, right? They are very sensitive people. दुनिया में कहीं पे भी कुछ होता है सबसे पहला बैन हमारे सिलेबस पे आ जाता है. I tell you my own story. We have SYP, a wonderful text by Supriya Mehta, Maximum City. 3-4 years back, locally available party. I don't want to name because it will be difficult for me to go back to Mumbai. Overnight, they found something. Oh, this is working against our own popular leader. I will not name it, but I'm sure you all know about it. क्या हुआ? रातों रात BC ने border studies का meeting बुलाया. It was just 2 months before the exams. बुक को हटाया सिलेबस से, दूसरा न्यूट्रल बुक लगाया, बच्चों को रातों रात पढ़ाया. Why are we so touchy? This is opening up. This is opening up a lot, and we should thank this new education, national education policy, that अभी आगे से इतना कुछ sensitivity नहीं रहेगा. Why? So we are going to talk about it. Technology, when one text is there, only available on your Twitter. अभी तो क्या बोलते हैं उसको? X. Twitter fiction, Facebook fiction, micro fiction, beautiful things. Publish नहीं है कहीं पर भी. Photocopy नहीं हो सकता. If you put that here with the help of the technology, this is something which we have to do. But for that, हमें upgrade होना पड़ेगा. We have to just find out what is trending on that. Just imagine, Twitter fiction का अगर हम lecture लेते हैं class में, कितने बच्चे आएंगे? Full होगा class. Because they are happily putting their own phone on the desk speaking out and commenting openly. Maybe this is the liberty, this is the openness we wanted, and technology is helping us doing that. Next. Not talking much about research and teacher training, because teacher training UGC has already started one beautiful portal and we all are going through, we're gonna go through it now in maybe next 1 year's time. So let us stick to our own department responsibilities. Next slide please. This is another very important factor given to us through national education policy, that we have to get the role of literature in shaping values and perspectives. How do we do this? Value is a very subjective word, correct? Perspective also is a very subjective word. अपने लिए जो value है यहाँ पे अहमदाबाद में in this college from this room might not be the same value for a teacher teaching in France in some different college. उसके लिए values अलग है, हमारे लिए values अलग है. Values are very deeply rooted in the culture, and culture is just different. There is no inferior, there is no superior, because culture is plural. No, sorry, I am not giving you culture studies class. But when we say that values is a part of culture, we cannot pinpoint at one thing. That means it is also helping us to open up. When we say culture, basically 9 elements put together in culture. What are the 9 elements? Religion, language, food, dress, habits. Correct? Lot of other things. That means if your culture is different, I can never say yours is inferior, mine is superior, yours is no. It is just different. Now here, this is very beautifully put in this one point, that shaping values through literature. Now tell me, अगर हमें Indian values सिखाने हैं तो कौन सा literature choose करना? Very clear. So this is a direct connection. Nothing is written abruptly or maybe in isolation. Everything is very well connected here. When you are talking about Indian values, we are obviously invariably going to some or the other Indian literature. Isn't it obvious? So I don't say only when we are teaching something from the epics like Ramayana or Mahabharata, don't look at it as a religious text. Look at it as this point, that we are teaching them Indian value through Indian text. What a big deal. No. It is not religious interference into academics. Please don't look at that. Don't look at that. Putting one particular element or maybe one part of Mahabharata or Ramayana to teach epic as a poem should be dealt with the way we put Odyssey as an epic. Odyssey के ऊपर तो किसी ने क्वेश्चन नहीं किया, इतने साल से पढ़ा रहे हैं. Part of epic. So why when I replacing Odyssey to Ramayana? Why are we making big noise about secularism खत्म हो गया, ये खत्म हो? Don't look at it. Being an English teacher, please try and connect with whatever we are being told, with whatever is available to us. So, shaping values through literature. Now here one very interesting example. NEP also is giving us a lot of openness to select local texts. And when we are selecting local texts, invariably we are also using the translation. I'll give you an example. I've used Narsi Mehta in my second PhD of Bhakti literature. And Narsi Mehta, now when we are putting that one poem in first year English literature, students have just heard about Vaishnava Janato Tene Likaiye. Now when they are getting the real poem with the translation, don't you think it is just a very big boost on shaping values? Who's stopping you to put that? Who is stopping you to put that? In Maharashtra, in some of the colleges, we have put Abhanga. Actual Abhanga. So what we are giving them? Marathi and the translation. Students are actually enjoying reading Marathi. Because many of them, they know first language. So they read Marathi. And then happy to go back because many of them they have heard Abhanga being regularly played or sung as a part of the community. Why can't we use that? It's a literature. It's a poem. I've given you one example. Vaishnavajan is a poem. And we are putting it as a poem in literature class. Can anyone stop it? Why they have not thought about it? Okay. So now under this, we have started thinking about our local resources. So what happens? Again and again our own little bit of compartmentalization has not worked in our favor. अगर मुझे इंग्लिश डिपार्टमेंट का सिलेबस बनाना है in any autonomous college in Ahmedabad, I was there as a part of St. Xavier's College sometimes back. No local translation was accepted there. No. Translations were there, please believe. Translations were there, but from what? French to English? Canadian to English? Then why not Indian to English? This is high time for us to look at it. Please think of it. आजू बाजू में बहुत सारे हैं. We have got rich culture. Try and find out. And the other very important thing which is given to us, as I have told you in my earlier part, that अभी ऐसी कोई जरूरत नहीं है that the work should be published because this is an open document. Objective of the curriculum, पहला जो पैराग्राफ जाता है before making the syllabus, objective number 1, आराम से डालिए. Role of literature in shaping values. आराम से with lot of pride put Narasimha Mehta. And your own translation, and no one can stop you. Because now we are giving the guided reading. We are not textbook reading. This is another way to look at it. Next. Nurturing language proficiency. Now here, point number 2 and 3 are in contrast. In point 2, we say that English is not only a vital language but also a critical tool for communication, employability, blah blah blah. In the third point, NEP is telling us that emphasis on mother tongue instruction in the early years is laudable, but educators must ensure a smooth transition from mother tongue to English. I think I have given you this example that English medium students are conversational, using the conversational language. Those who have studied English as a subject in mother tongue or maybe vernacular, they know the actual thorough theoretical form of language. Now, for us in the departments, it is our duty to gradually support the transition. And how do we do that? First of all, let them speak with whatever problems they have, which maybe mixed up languages, maybe mentally translation and talking and speaking and all, let them do it. Let them do it. Because once you support that, then I'm sure within 1 year you will see the change and the difference in all the students. I don't know how much visibility is for all of you under the system limitation, but this is something which is supported by them. Yes, please. Inclusivity and equity, very important part of it. When we are talking about English language or English department across the campuses in India, there was never a concept of inclusivity. Indian writers वो भी देंगे एक ऑप्शन में पेपर 9 और पेपर 6 में और पेपर 4 में मे भी जिसको करना है करो लेकिन उसको पढ़ाने वाला टीचर नहीं होगा because American is much more sounding fancy. I'm sure you all must have experienced it. I don't know how many of you have faced it. So inclusivity was never a kind of an idea in the departments so far. Now how do we add into that inclusivity? Only one way is to make sure that you get many Indian writers, many Indian works, even if it is not available in translation, put it there. Ask them to go through it. Make them realize this is also literature. Now when you look at it, when you start doing it, you will realize that even in Indian literature we have upper and lower. Even in Indian literature we have Savarna and, no, I am not talking about the I am not talking about you assistant. Those writers, those who have got their books and works published abroad or got some blah 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 awards and everything, everybody is running behind to put them in the syllabus. We all have seen that. We have seen that. But the same kind of writing, if it is available in India, new novel which is published maybe 5 years and everybody is appreciating, we still don't try and put that in our syllabus. Red Samadhi, have you heard in his literature unfortunately? Tomb of Sand, you know about it, right? Tomb of Sand, Red Samadhi, the novel which is got which prize?
Booker Prize.
फर्स्ट नॉवेल इन ट्रांसलेशन, हिंदी में लिखी गई नॉवेल है. अभी सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स, हिंदी डिपार्टमेंट्स उसके पीछे पड़े हुए हैं बिकॉज दे सेड सो. आई हैव रिटन अ पेपर लास्ट लॉन्ग टाइम 10 years back. We are great because they said so. तब तक हमें पता नहीं होता we are great. So we have two different types of texts and content. We are happily putting William Jones. We are happily putting Edward Said when we are teaching them Orientalism, but we are not talking about our own very, very crucial work, Bharat Ek Khoj. Equally strong, equally, literal in nature. We are not putting that. Now this is high time for us to find out our own kind of writing. It's not that we don't have. What is Edward Said is telling about Orientalism, Bharat Ek Khoj भी वही बोल रहा है, but from a different perspective. If you want to teach Hindi, if you want to teach context, historical context, language context, East versus West, Oriental versus, please do take some references from our own text also. Now this is high time for us to find out that. इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन. अभी ये दोनों बहुत ऑपोजिट है. एक ही पॉलिसी में आप बोल रहे हो वो लोकल और एक ही पॉलिसी में आप बोल रहे हो वो इंटरनेशनल. हाउ डू वी बैलेंस दैट? देयर इज अ वे टू बैलेंस बाय selecting the guided text, selecting the content, selecting the pedagogy, because I am not using the word andragogy and heutagogy. हम अभी भी pedagogy के उसमें हैं जिसमें टीचर पढ़ाता है, बच्चे क्लास में आते हैं and we deliver. So, two opposites, dichotomy, contradiction, paradoxes. Go local कि go international. करना क्या है भाई? Finally करना क्या है? So here comes our own wisdom as a teacher, as a department. Balance your curriculum with local, going to international. Do not blindly follow what international departments are doing, because to tell you very honestly, international departments are never so heavily relying on Elizabethan British English literature. No. Many of them, especially European students, they don't know about Shakespeare. They have not studied Shakespeare at all. So, high time to forget our colonial canonical legacy. Continuous evaluation and adaptations. How do we do that? Education is a dynamic field, and what works today may not be effective tomorrow. Now we have realized that what is there for us today might not be there tomorrow, because we, in terms of Dr. Jappi is putting it that way, digital natives versus digital immigrants. So हम लोग almost सब learn digital है, और हमारा deal हो रहा है born digital. They are very fast, very very fast, just like your computer processors or your phone systems. 2 महीना 6 महीना outdated. No one will talk about it. If you don't match that pace here, they will not talk about it. जबरदस्ती आएंगे, but NEP में अभी तो वो भी नहीं आएंगे. Degree is available online. How do you do it? How do you make your pace? You have to speed up. I mean, we have to speed up to know what is happening. And then if we speed up, we get something new to them. तभी आएंगे हमारे पास. Otherwise, they will not come. So how do we get it? the need for evaluation and adaptation. Change your pattern of discuss, describe, characterization, plot, summary. No. Think of something. So how do we think of that? I'm going to talk about it in an actual physical manner. And how do we deal with making part? कैसे module बनाना है? I'm going to talk about it. But today's talk is basically to unlearn so many things. जब तक unlearn नहीं करेंगे, we are not able to grasp what is there for us. Next. Learn for literature. Educators. Second point. Not only to teach but to inspire a lifelong appreciation. And how do we do that? There are so many elements in literature we have been talking. Again, I come back to Shakespeare because I just take it for granted. Please correct me if I am wrong. That more or less we are all from the generation where Shakespeare was like the my बाप. उसके बिना हमारा BA में पास होना मुश्किल था. That means सबने पढ़ा हुआ है. Shakespeare के 4 जो ड्रामा, उसके 4 जो इमोशंस, वो 4 इमोशंस आप आइडेंटिफाई करने को बोलो बच्चों को बाहर. सबसे पहला इमोशन ऑथेलो, डाउट. किंग लियर, पार्शियलिटी. हैमलेट, इंडिसाइसिवनेस. मैकबेथ, ओवर एम्बिशन. अभी खाली ये जस्ट वन वर्ड में पूरा ask them to find out a story which is based on doubt, which is based on over-ambition, which is based on partiality, and then try and connect it with your. You are opening up your literary text from this 2 cover pages. बच्चों को बोल रहे बाहर भी ढूंढो. Literature is all emotions, and you will find it next door. बच्चे के relation में भी होगा. आजकल teenagers and youngsters are also feeling the same way what Othello was feeling for Desdemona. She loves me not. Shoot. होता है ना? We are dealing with that, right? So if you teach this way, if you open up, you will find out that students will understand your answer very clearly. So Shakespeare's 4 drama, 4 emotions, open it up. Maybe this is how opening up of the literary elements or literature, trying to connect it with the way they live. Okay, going to the next one. I am actually running a little bit fast because Nitesh ने मुझे बोला था 40 minutes में complete करने का. I have already. Yes. So I am going a little bit fast. This slides will be available with the organizers. Socio-economic disparities, very important part of our policymakers' stress. I remember some 15 years back when we have put Dalit literature for the first time in the department's curriculum, we faced a lot of resistance. Not only from the political parties, no. It was from within. That why my child should study, I am talking about Mumbai University and Mumbai department, so please pardon me a little bit of limited examples. Golpita, itni extreme novel, extreme poem, मेरा बच्चा नहीं पढ़ेगा because this is not something which is aesthetic in nature. वो बहुत vulgar है. और ये resistance आया था. Now this is high time to address those socio-economic disparities. Luckily, fortunately, we have now have lot of work available in different areas: marginal literature, women literature, tribal literature, cultural, other aspects. Lot of things are there. Try and incorporate. Because this is the only way to deal with this. बच्चा न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पढ़ेगा, लेकिन जब उसको एक strong novel दलित या तो women writing में मिलेगी, this will make him think and connect lot of things. This is our job. Because we are basically from the literature department, we are dealing with raw emotions, and we all believe that to go back to Aristotle and Wordsworth, spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. कुछ भी हो जाए, that is there in our blood, right? So encourage that, work on it, make them also do that. We have seen students going really overpowered when we are teaching one novel of any prominent socio-economic disparity. Be it a tribal, be it a Dalit, be it a, अभी तो lot strong reactions are coming from students when we are teaching them tribal literature. Manipur के सामने काफी सारे students are having their own strong voices. Classroom is your place to make them understand this is not bad and you have all the right to feel that emotion. This is what is our job. Next. Interdisciplinary learning. Inter, trans, multi. Little bit of difficult term. So I am going to give you an example on this. I am skipping this part. Supporting teacher autonomy. Now here I was telling that अभी तक हम सबका जो भी mindset है, हम लोग affiliated college वाले हैं, university बनाएगा, हमारा आएगा हमारे पास, हम पढ़ाएंगे, 60 lectures से 60 में करेंगे, 40 lectures से 40 में करेंगे. अब not that way. Even if you are affiliated, you will be given lot of autonomy. What part to take in blended mode, what part to take in online mode, what part to take in summative assessment, what part to take in formative assessment, what part to take in field study. Choice is ours. We should be happy. Those who are little bit of inclusive teachers sitting here, I think this is our time to do lot of things in the classroom. This is something which I'll be talking about with examples in my next slide. Please go back. Okay, this is something which is very interesting for all of us. One size fits all approach may not work. One size fits all. हैदराबाद यूनिवर्सिटी ने सिलेबस बनाया है, उसमें उसने पेरियार को रखा है, तो मैं अपने यहाँ से किसी दलित को रखूंगी? No, because the sensitivity is not the same here as the way it is in Hyderabad. No, Assam University ने tribal literature permanent रखा है उसमें as a main component. No, it is for them to do it, not for me. I have many other issues, many other writings, many other areas, many other genre. This is the time to realize that British English literature, canonical English literature, one fits for all formula, not there. Open up your literature classrooms. Next. Empathy and social awareness. Skip this also. Sir, I'll take maybe 10 minutes more. Okay, this is something which I wanted you to, because this is where पहले theory हो गई, अब implementation. I'll be giving you some solid pointers here which you can directly copy paste in your syllabus and make it. Maybe. Yes. So I have tried aligning each pointer of anything with reference to how to frame syllabus. Because my today's topic is framing syllabus. So I am not forgetting that. So I put these 5 elements in my next slides. Promoting multilingualism, critical creativity and holistic learning. Next. This is the course module for multilingualism. That means when you are framing a syllabus like this, you are directly dealing with that required element of NP, that is multilingualism. 6 modules here in front of you. You can see this. Understanding linguistic map of India and historical and cultural significance. This can be a topic. Concept studies. Maybe a very good article, maybe there are certain books on this. Put it. Second, language proficiency building, language and identity, exploring how languages contribute to individual and community identity, case studies of language and identity conflict. We have a very good people's language survey given to us by Dr. Ganesh Devi, and very, very extensive work which is also giving us a red flag that every day one language dies. Why can't we make it here as a part of our maybe one chapter, one topic? Language policies in India. This could be your, please remember I am putting the actual modules in front of you. When it comes to the framing of the syllabus, I am putting the actual modules in front of you. Of course, maybe a kind of a guideline. Developing multilingual proficiency in real-world situation, group discussion, debate and role plays. Now, let me give you one real-life example here. We also have a mass media program in Mumbai University, and we run a program called BMN, Bachelor of Mass Media, which is now called BA in Mass Media. India in our own language. I could see some hoardings when I entered Ahmedabad yesterday, Boti Log, something like that. And it's such a beautiful use of eye-capturing, kind of a hoarding, using your own colloquial language. Now they want something like this. And if you don't give our students that edge of switching over from one to the other, they will not be employed. Pure English, no one knows. No one wants. Pure Hindi, no one wants. Be a master of multiple things. This is what we are. This is what we are. Next. Balanced literature curriculum. Number 2. Please go to the next one. Course modules. How do you balance? When I say balanced, I am talking about international versus local. Module number 1. Contemporary and marginalized voices. टेक्स्ट आपके अपने हिसाब से, essays आपके अपने चॉइस से, poems आपके अपनी चॉइस से. So what is the objective? Contemporary and marginalized voices. Second module, literature and society. Third module, comparative literature analysis. Fourth module, introduction to literary diversity, literary genre and tradition. Canonical text and their critique. See how we have marginalized here. पहले पूरा 6 पेपर 8 पेपर सिलेबस कैनोनिकल पे बनना था, हमने उसको एक पॉइंट में. It's not that we don't want them to study. We want them to study, but with a little critique element. They are not going to critique it. We are going to provide ready-made critique for them. So this is one paper, one subject, one element of NUP which I have put in full-fledged module. Critical thinking and creativity. सबसे बड़ा problem था, how do we cater to these two elements under English department? This is your answer. As I told you, I am going to answer this. This is your answer. Literary analysis and interpretation. Creative writing workshops. Literature in context. Interdisciplinary perspective, oral communication and debate, and finally research and critical writing. We don't have time to further explore on all these pointers. I'm sure it's easy enough to understand, but this is not something which we have done earlier. I am dealing with only 3 more slides, 3 more elements. How do we take care of interdisciplinary? Now this is a very interesting area where we have started designing courses on something like language and cognitive science, psychology और literature का combination. English literature and history, again 2 combination areas. Psychology of literary characters, very interesting, because to tell you very honestly, the Batman series movies and the character of Joker has been universally taught to analyze the psychology of the character. Sometimes something which we are missing out. And we have very interesting novels written on this. Psychology of Karna, psychology of Major. I'm sure we all know about it. Our own gods, goddesses, mythical characters, whatever we call them, but we do have a lot of things written about them. Why don't we use them? Social, linguistic and cultural studies. Very interactive part, whereas I told you that every day one language dies and many students are not even aware about कि language और बोली में फर्क क्या है. जो भी बोली है उसका स्क्रिप्ट नहीं है तो क्यों नहीं है? जो भी स्क्रिप्ट नहीं है वो नेक्स्ट नेबरहुड का स्क्रिप्ट यूज करता है. What is the connection? Why can't we take it up under multidisciplinary? We have beautiful essays on that. Environmental literature and sustainability. We teach one small element of eco-criticism somewhere the other there. But this is a full-fledged new area of new humanities. When we say new humanities, technically, right from the Greek, times, we have been using only 5 subjects in the humanities: philosophy, language, literature. Now is the time for new humanities. How How many of you have read, not even heard, read about medical humanities, environmental humanities, digital humanities, global humanities, spatial humanities? These are the things coming up. These are the areas people are working on. Huge funding is coming from across the world. So these are the areas we should now talk about. So this is one small element here, environmental literature and sustainability. Think of a novel, think of a poem, think of something and put it here. Interdisciplinary research project, that is the final part of your subject. Next. Cultural awareness. This is an element taken from NEP. I have put an entire syllabus on this. So what can we include? World Literature Survey. हमारे बच्चों को ब्रिटिश, इंग्लिश और इंडियन के अलावा कुछ नहीं पता होता, थोड़ा बहुत अमेरिकन पता होता है, थोड़ा बहुत कैनेडियन, बस वर्ल्ड लिटरेचर सर्वे. Cultural narratives in literature, post-colonial literature and identity, very very important for Indian students and Indian even diaspora, yes. Language and cultural expression, globalization and cultural exchange, cultural awareness projects. We can talk on and on each. Maybe we need one full day workshop to decide the text what to put under this. But still, this is now we are starting. That's part of this. Local and indigenous literature. How to frame our syllabus modules. Introduction to local and indigenous literature. When we say indigenous, we have to introduce them to our own indigenous people, our own tribal people in India. MP, Gujarat, Northeast, Andaman, these are some of the prominent areas we do have tribal writing. So first, we are not even going to the writing part. We are making them aware about the existence and the presence of indigenous people. When they get interested into this, we may extend it up to writing and literature. Cultural and linguistic context with reference to tribal, indigenous, marginalized voices. We have started putting this in some of the other maybe scattered elements somewhere here and there. But what do we call margin is not only the Indian concept. Margin we have to make them understand from the global concept. Because margin is not only the socio-economic or socio-political margin. There are n number of other margins. Gender margins, economic margins, language margins, religious margins. Need high time for us to make them aware. Comparative literature analysis, oral tradition and folk literature, and finally research on any one of the elements. I'm going really fast, but I'm sure we are getting at least some idea about how do we pick one element and how do we use it. So this is the last part. NEP provides a vision for language education. Specific implementation and changes in curriculum will depend on each institution, socio-political positioning of the institution, and many other factors. But do not forget to take the local context into account. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam, for this wonderful session and for shedding some light on the final analysis of it and how these concepts can be incorporated into the framing of the syllabus. If there are any questions, there are 5 minutes for this. We want to do any questions.
Put on and come back. रुक जाओ चेक दे दो क्या कर पाएगा घोड़ा निकालू क्या घोड़ा इधर निकाल दो
Very tricky question. I don't think I think you are on the right platform to answer that.
क्या
Because
क्वेश्चन
what she has asked, sorry, my dear colleagues, I take just 2 minutes because I am called for the talk and I am also expected to answer certain questions. Okay, so ma'am has asked me that I have given you some example of text being removed from the syllabus because of oversensitivity in society. So she's asking how do we deal with that?
ये वाले
I will not give you any political answer here. What I will say is try and work with maybe a kind of a balanced syllabus making. But India being India, sometimes some corner suddenly erupts with some controversy. Better way for all of us to be mature teachers, just quietly put it down and think about a text. Our idea is not to raise or maybe support any controversy. We can't be very, resistant. We can't be very stubborn about it. Because if I selected one text, I don't want to add into that sensitivity. No. My point here is to either talk about the author or maybe the text or maybe the genre. Or push to know. My point is never add the fuel into the existing controversy. This is because we teachers are meant for the mediators. I think we have to be alternative. Yes. 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 And being a part of the syllabus training committee, we were all heard. But then we also had to understand that the world is different. People's sensitivity is different. And we have to respect. So from this desk, what I say is respect the sensitivity. अगर कहीं पे कुछ उल्टा सीधा आंसर आता है, maybe not to add fuel. Being a teacher, not to add. Because we have a lot of alternate sources. That is where your, kind of support will come. Because you know the other alternative. No problem. I have not answered the question. I know that. I know that.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for being the patient and wonderful audience. We'll have 2 parallel sessions immediately after the lunch. We'll start at 2:50, 2:15. We are cutting it short. 45 minutes break. 2:50. The arts college teachers are supposed to be here at the seminar hall only, and the commerce teachers are supposed to be there in the conference room. There's a meeting on the ground floor. And science teachers also. Science, commerce and science. Okay, thank you. So please be on time. Important sessions are there. Very much related to our syllabus and modes of evaluation. External lunch